Thanks for downloading this special seasonal mini-series of the Mikeysline Speaking of Suicide podcast. I'm Pennie Stuart, and with me is Shona Macpherson. And across the 12 days of Christmas, Shona is giving us some mental health tips to help us when times get tough.
So today's skill is self as the watcher. Strange name, the self as the watcher. And just to illustrate what this one is about, I invite you to imagine life as a chessboard. And on that chessboard we've got the black bits and the white bits. And sometimes we think of things as a positive or a negative. So we might think, okay, right, we've got the white positive emotions or the white positive thoughts, and here we have the black ones. And it can feel like we're just in this constant battle. But the problem with that as a metaphor is the pieces are endless. the white pieces and the black pieces, they just keep coming in life. We will always be feeling more and thinking more. So rather than that, I don't think it's helpful to think of thoughts and feelings as positive and negative, but rather we've just got all of these chess pieces and they're moving around. And maybe we don't have to control them so much. But if we think about our life, we're not actually the thoughts and the feelings. We're not these black and white pieces. So where are we and who are we if we're not those? And actually, we are the chessboard. We're the place where these pieces move on. So there is a part of us, if it isn't our thoughts and our feelings, it's this bit of us that can watch ourselves. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about as a self, as watcher. How can we not get pulled so much into the game or the struggle, but rather how can we watch those pieces coming and going and moving while acting according to our values, doing the things that matter. So hopefully that's making sense. And I'm going to now do a kind of exercise to help us practice that. But Pennie, you just had a look there. What are you thinking? Is that making sense?
I had a thought.
Oh, please.
Yeah. No, what it did is it made me think of the word acceptance came into my head. That idea of observing and accepting that we're a mishmash of moving, changing thoughts, feelings, emotions.
Beautiful.
And actually, for me, the term watcher means that I'm kind of stepping back and just observing and accepting this kind of flux of feelings in myself, and saying, yeah, that's interesting, that's okay, that's just part of how it is tumbling out.
It rolls. And that sounds very compassionate. Yeah. And the other name for this skill is actually the observer. So you're just right. And this does come from a place of acceptance of emotion. And so thank you. That's really helpful thoughts about that as an image. So now let's actually do that as a moment. So if you're up for it, Pennie, and those of you listening, let's just take a moment and ground ourselves in the ability to observe and accept what comes and goes. So where we're standing now, let's just take a moment, or where you're sitting now, see if you can just for a moment push your feet into the ground. Where Pennie and I are standing, we're literally on the ground, and so we can actually feel the earth and some stones under our feet, and we can get this sense of actually we're safe, we're grounded, we have the earth beneath us. And now let's just take a moment and notice, for each of us, just notice our breath. Notice its rise and its fall. Not trying to control it in any way, but just notice it coming and going. And while we're doing that, let's just notice if there's any thoughts that are chattering away. And if you are noticing thoughts chattering away, see if it's possible for you not to get pulled into the content of them. They might be really seductive thoughts that really want your attention, but see if you can just notice them and come back to this moment where you're pushing your feet into the ground. And now if you can, just notice how you're feeling in your body. Notice that you're here now, standing on the ground, and you can notice at the same time what's happening in your body. That you're here having these internal experiences, thoughts, sensations, and that a part of you is the whole time watching and noticing this. And now, if you feel able, I invite you to just sort of softly gaze in front of you. So we're moving from our inner world and to where Pennie and I are right now, beside a riverbank and a park, or wherever you are, and just noticing that you're here in this body with these internal experiences, but with your house environment or the place that you are outside at the same time, and that how we can shift our gaze from the outer to the inner in milliseconds, and that part of us is able to notice this as well. So there's always a part of us that is noticing and taking perspective, and that part is unchanging, always available to us if we can get into the present and allow ourselves this. And I'm just going to end by sharing a short piece of poetry again by Mary Oliver, and I think it's sort of about also this idea of this observer self, and that we are an observer self in a world with lots of other observer selves. We're part of this bigger world that isn't just even other humans, but so much life around us. And the first line of this could sound like your suffering doesn't matter, but that's not what I believe Mary Oliver means in this at all, but rather our suffering fits in a context with others who are suffering. So this is from Mary Oliver. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine. Meanwhile the world goes on. Meanwhile the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across the landscape. Meanwhile the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls you like wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Thank you so much for practicing and learning these 12 skills of Christmas. I hope they've been helpful. And please know these are not a replacement for professional advice. If you are struggling, please seek help. And thank you again so much for being part of it, Pennie, as well. It's been really fun.
It has been fun. Has been fun. Remember, it is okay not to be okay, particularly at this time of year and in these really challenging times. So if you need someone to talk to, you can text Mikeysline on 07786 20 77 55, or you can contact them via Messenger, web chat or Twitter, Sunday to Thursday 6 p.m. to 10 p.m, Friday to Saturday 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Speaking of Suicide is made in partnership with Mikeysline by Adventurous Audio Limited and is supported by Mikeysline and D&D Paving Limited.